to my two candidates. So let's start off by introducing yourselves. Who are you and what do you have that gives you the required experience for the role?
Right, hi, I'm Dan. I'm chair of LGBTQ Social. I've been chair for 2 years. I've been running the society for 2 years. When I took over as the society, the old chair just dropped out very suddenly, so I had to work out from the ground up. And the focus of my main policies are actually supporting societies when their old committees can't. I think that's really important, is the student union should be doing more just to make sure societies are looked after. So that was what motivated me to run in the first place.
Thank you, Dan. Mickey?
My name's Mikey.
Mikey, sorry.
It's okay, don't worry. And yeah, I'm the chair of the Pantomime Society. Oh yes, I am. I'm so sorry. I'm also a team leader for Night Safe as well. So I understand how USU activities work, both as a society level and a volunteering level. I've also been a producer for the Pantomime Society as well, so I've got experience in sort of running big events as well. And my policies are broken down into 3 separate points. So unlock recognition, because I think the student union could do more to actually recognise the good work that students do. Unlock opportunities, so let people join in whenever they want with different things. And similarly, unlock support. So I think the students union, especially activities officer, could be a hands-on role and actually support societies when they're struggling a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much. So you've both talked about some of your policies there. But should we talk more about how students can balance societies and studies and how you would help them in their society endeavours as well as balancing their studies at university?
So I've actually got a manifesto point on this. So I'd say I want to create an activities matchmaker on the USU website. So this will basically match students to opportunities that appeal to their interests, future prospects, and kind of suit their timetable. So I know, especially when people are taking their courses a lot more seriously because fees are going up, so you have to get a good grade to get good jobs and that sort of thing. It can kind of fall down by the wayside a little bit, like the extracurricular activities sort of thing. So I want to just kind of bring societies down to you, so you don't have to trail through 200 sort of biographies of what a society does, and plus more volunteering projects, plus everything. I kind of want a questionnaire where you can say, oh, I'm interested in this, I'm free on these days, I want to spend this much money, go, and then bam, you've got a list of societies and volunteering projects that would suit you.
Daniel?
I was going with, I think my main 2 policies were aiming to address this in a similar way. I was going with workshops rather than I've got networking events too, but I was thinking things that would just train people how to do things quickly. I think that there used to be more workshops and the training, and it's really decreased in the last couple of years. And I've had experience I've done for Liberation Networks through this is how you run an event kind of thing that have been quite popular, and I like to be able to spread that to the wider university. My other main policy is to adapt all of the resource hub, which is the information from the student union to societies. I want to send that into interactive media, into videos and stuff, because I just think that would take a lot of the work, the sort of bureaucratic work that keeps people out of running for societies. I'd like to be able to make that accessible to everyone. So that was the thing behind that policy.
Okay, well, my question was more about students who they get involved in these societies and suddenly it's taking up more and more of their time. They're getting more senior positions in the societies and they're finding it difficult to balance their studies and managing these societies at the same time. So how can you support these kind of students who are very heavily involved in societies and looking to you for some help?
I think I wanted to take a more hands-on approach to the societies. I want to be able to be in contact with someone from every committee, be sending emails out from the start of the year and trying to get a little bit interactive so I can see where people are at, because I think if you are more in contact, I think the communication with the union is lacking, and if we have that relationship there, then I have a better idea on case by case how to support people. And then I was thinking the improved support in general in terms of the workshops and the improved resources would just give people the power to do things quicker. If you're not building things from the ground up, you're giving support and working down. That just improves how you can do things.
Similarly, I'd say we should be kind of celebrating the work that society leaders do rather than kind of making them wish that they'd never took that role in the first place. So I think, I'd very much, be a hands-on sort of activities officer. And I've already said I'd hold open office hours for anyone on a committee to come and speak to me, for me to give them advice or just listen to their concerns about what they're actually facing. So I've talked about in my manifesto about USU finance, and that's a bugbear for a lot of society leaders, as I'm sure, you guys know.
Yes, yeah.
So I want to kind of like listen to people and help people whenever they come to me, and also work behind the scenes to make sure that they're not put off with running their society, and actually it's quite an enjoyable experience.
Okay, well, Daniel, you mentioned things like workshops and things. Give It a Go already exists, and that's been fairly successful in getting students involved in joining societies. Is that something you want to develop, make the workshops part of Give It a Go? And I'd ask the same question to Mikey as well. What is your opinions on Give It a Go and how it's been so far?
So I felt like Give It a Go is great. It did rebrand the Refreshers Week. I think Refreshers Week this year was just more successful than my other 2 years. But I do think that it still really addresses just the first years, the freshers. So I would like to do things that I think more second and third years would going for. I think that there's a real view that if you don't get involved in something in the first year, you just don't get involved with it. I'd like to change that. I think some of the projects that need the most focus in that time is the volunteering and RAG stuff. These are the opportunities that give students vocational skills. And that was why I wanted to push those in Give It a Go Week, which is like my third policy.
I think it's important to realise that, Give It a Go scheme is actually more than a week. It's a year-long course sort of thing. I think like Give It a Go is an amazing sort of like initiative to get people involved. It's never too late to get involved in these activities and give things a go, as the name does imply. I want actually to put more emphasis on like the rest of the year and actually make sure that it's a thing that continues going and it just doesn't do 1 week and then fizzle out. And I also want to make sure that there's actually more activities going on for Give It a Go. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, it's kind of like a lot of one-off taste sessions. And I really liked when they put on like the HC1, how to fill in a HC1 form, and that sort of thing, and like go and see shows, or like just you can give it a go and get involved in student activities in a range of different ways. And I think that's what Give It a Go needs to sort of like appreciating and getting on with.
Okay, so how would you advertise these opportunities and societies to students? I'll ask Mikey first.
Yeah, so I would keep it in the Give It a Go scheme. So I think, for like events and that sort of thing, Give It a Go is really good. But I'd also bring in like the main USU social media. So like everyone pretty much in the university is on like the USU Snapchat or the USU Twitter and the USU Facebook. And I don't think that's being used enough to actually advertise what societies, RAG and volunteering are doing. So I want to make sure that actually that's at the forefront of the social media sort of thing.
Daniel?
I think that if I got elected, I would Give It a Go in a different direction to Mikey. I think I would put the focus on it being a first opportunity to try things. I think it is a brand and you want to keep the brand to a limited focus scope of thing. So I think the week and then the events across the year are good, but I think that making sure it is something where you are just trying to get people involved rather than sustaining that is also important. So I would probably keep it.
Yeah, and what about advertising that to students, making sure that they know what's on and what they can attend, what opportunities are available to them?
I think it would just be using the USU accounts, just focusing. Give It a Go Week is going to be coming up, and then when we hit it, it's like this is what's going on then, and then leaving it until the next year. I think that keeping it to a quite tight time frame is the same as Freshers Week is a thing that we build up to. You can't have it all year long, like you can't have Christmas all year long.
Exactly. Your position is not just all about society, it's also about RAG and volunteering. So I'd like to focus on that now. You touched upon it a little bit before, but what are your plans for that aspect of the role?
So it's for volunteering, I'd say. I want to, again, recognise and reward volunteers more. So these are the people that give up their spare time to actually give it to people in courses that they believe in and help others. So I think they're the people that are going to go out in society and actually, cliche, make the world a better place, as it were, because they can continue doing that for as long as they want, basically, whenever they leave uni. So I want to introduce a awards ceremony, basically, to kind of sort of like celebrate them and actually shout about them and say how amazing these volunteers are, because I don't think that's done enough. And also for RAG, I've got a whole section of manifesto about RAG. So I want to work with the RAG officer to do more challenges. So I think the challenges of RAG are probably one of the best aspects of RAG. So that's like things like jailbreak and that sort of thing. And I think they're really successful when everyone can get involved. Sometimes the sort of fundraising target can put people off, especially if it's like a big one. So I want to work on more affordable sort of ways than that. I also want to work with the USU RAG committee and putting them more in touch with the college RAG committee, as like me, and bringing them all together so everyone knows what's happening and they can actually collaborate on events a bit more. And then finally, I want to introduce the society and sports rep to the RAG committee so that societies are supported when they want to do RAG events. So in the Pantomime Society, we do a RAG pantomime every year. And it'd be really helpful from our point of view to actually have someone on this society, on the RAG committee, who would kind of like take charge of that and support us and say, you know, what do you need? Do you want some advertising, that sort of thing? So that's my plans.
Daniel, what are your plans for RAG and volunteering?
I feel like the biggest problems with RAG and volunteering are actually that if you're looking for them, you can find them if you're very searching on the USU website. But I don't think they're advertised that well. I think that they could do with more support in terms of how they get out there. So I would be working with my own accounts and then the accounts of the other student union reps to just really focus on advertising these projects. So I'd be using all of the accounts we have through USU, the emails, and really headlining them at the moments when I think you can get people the most involved. I know at the moment we have Volunteering Week. Volunteering Week is in week 8, and week 8 it corresponds with a national volunteering week, but in terms of York time, that is towards the end of the year. That is when people are thinking about exams and they are not about to get involved with anything. So I think we do need to push volunteering earlier in the year, which is why I have the manifesto point on focusing that at the start of the second term, the Give It a Go week, is because I do think that that is the best time to push these things when people still have time to get involved.
Okay, so you touched on Volunteering Week. There's also RAG Week, and at York, that's not really much of a big thing as is at other universities. Do you think York students just don't care about RAG as much?
No, I definitely wouldn't say that. I think especially RAG Week this year has been like amazing. I think the RAG committee have done such a good job with what they've done. I think actually when you think about it, York students are very generous people. Like especially on a tight budget, we raised over £1,700 I think in RAG Week, which is pretty amazing going. So I don't think it's that they're not interested. I just think they need the RAG events a bit more organisation, some support as well. Because I know the RAG committee is a bit stretched at the moment, and I think they could have done with a bit more support, and especially working with the colleges and societies and sports to make especially RAG Week the best it can be, and just a varied sort of events that appeal to everyone. So you can't just blanket students thinking that they're just going to like one thing. I think just having as many different events as possible will probably get people more involved in RAG.
So I think the problem with RAG might be the opposite, in that it is stretched too thinly. We have a university-wide RAG policy, and the colleges each have their own independent RAG projects. And then beyond that, there is so much charity stuff going on for the university. Like today in Vanbrugh, someone selling soup, and for the homeless. Like all of these projects are going on, and they aren't quite coordinated. So I think it would be the first step towards addressing how to get more people involved with RAG Week would be to meet with all of the college RAG reps and the RAG officer, get them all together and just have a discussion where we can work out how to coordinate things better, because I don't think they're that well coordinated. And when I met up with the RAG officer earlier in the last week, she did say that was the pitfall where they struggle to work out what's going on, really.
Okay, so another thing that comes under your remit as activities officer is campus media, and one thing that has caused controversy amongst the student body recently is freedom of student press. This is an issue that you'll have to deal with if you become the USU activities officer. So what is your stance on USU's censorship of student media?
So I think there's a difference between censorship and freedom. I think that yes, USU does have a role to play in sort of the editorial sort of functioning of the student media. I think that we have got the best student media in the country. There's no doubt about that. And I don't think USU should be sort of treating them like idiots and like trying to edit and sort of wade in. But at the same time, I do think USU does have a role to play.
I may have to cut you short there.
protecting
Daniel,
people.
one last word on student media.
I think that we've improved since last year. I think the student societies were aware that last year we were having